Welcome to Little Bighorn Treasure Hunting Sources 81 from sunny Cody, Wyoming. This video is Custer died but his revolver survived. History is full of different stories of weapons that George Armstrong Custer used during his military career, but none more famous than those he had with him at the Battle of the Little Bighorn. The most documented were his Remington sporting rifle in .50-70 caliber and what they called a pair of ivory-handled Webley self-cocking bulldog revolvers in .442 caliber. They were actually 1867 Royal Irish Constabulary known as the RIC Revolver. Any early Webley came to be called Bulldog, but the true Webley Bulldog was not produced until 1878, well after the Battle of the Little Bighorn. The RIC revolvers that Custer carried were underpowered compared to the Colt single-action .45 long Colt revolver issued and carried by the rank-and-file troopers of the 7th Cavalry. The advantage of the self-cocking or double-action revolver was the ease of ejecting and reloading on horseback compared to the Colt single-action, which required opening of the side loading gate and manually ejecting one cartridge at a time. Written statements from military personnel that served with Custer and were present with Custer at the Battle of the Little Bighorn said that he carried his RIC revolvers in a double belt holster, and they were nickel plated and were adorned with white ivory stocks or grips. As Custer was leading Company E and F to the Little Bighorn River and he began to cross, the Indians told how he began to shoot his Remington sporting rifle into the great Indian village until he was blown out of his saddle backwards into the river with a shot into his left breast by White Cowbull Sharp's .45-70. This stopped the 7th's advance and they retreated back east from the river. It is doubtful that Custer gave another order after being shot, and Captain Yates of Company F took command of the retreat as he was now senior officer, leading E and F companies up to Battle Ridge and then Last Stand Hill. From the native Indian accounts on Last Stand Hill, it is believed that Captain Yates stood over Custer's prostrate, maybe, possibly dead body, and was shooting Custer's Remington sporting rifle because numerous empty .50-70 shell casings were there. It is also reported that many Webley revolver shell casings were found under Custer's body when he was moved for burial, and that several soldiers kept them as souvenirs. Custer's ivory handle RIC revolvers were there also on Last Stand Hill, and other statements from White Bull's grandson, David Bald Eagle, and Orville Solway, who got the story from Dewey Beard, the last living warrior survivor from the battle in the early 1950s, and was present when Standing Bear fought over the buckskin jacket with Spotted Wolf and his son White Elk. These stories are in video 78. White Bull also was there with Buffalo Bull when he found the other RIC revolver in the jacket that was just like the revolver Spotted Wolf had picked up from the same spot. Also, it is believed Custer's saddlebags were removed from his horse Vic that held extra ammo for the revolvers because the ammunition was different than the standard U.S. issued ammo. With the hordes of Indians attacking, the quick loading and ejecting RIC revolver would have been handy, but not enough to stop so many. It makes sense that Custer would have carried the original box that came with the revolvers, as it had contained the proper .442 bullet mold and tools for the pistols. A very interesting addition in the box is a period Remington oiler that would have come with his Remington sporting rifle he always carried on his hunts and military campaigns. Also note that the silver medallion on the box was removed, which native Indians would likely do, and they would take and use the ornament or for special medicine to ward off in battle and for the protection from Wakantanka. Once again, oral history from Native Indians and White Bull, as well as Nicholas Black Elk, who relayed the story to grandson David Bald Eagle and son Benjamin Black Elk around RIC Revolver, and the ceremony performed on it to sanctify it before Wakantanka for repentance for the people because of the multitude of weapons, clothing, and other items removed from the battlefield by the Indians against what Wakantanka had relayed to Sitting Bull in his great vision of the destruction of the white soldiers. The Waka Sotes Niyan undefiling ceremony included the removal of the white ivory grips from the RIC Revolver, as they were considered a sacred white stone that had a spirit living in it. The pistol was then run through the ceremony, put in a deerskin bag without the grips, sewn with sinew, closed, and then glued with buffalo glue. Then buried in the center of a lodge, satisfying Wakantanka. White Bull retained the grips. From what we can glean out of the various statements from Indian sources, one revolver was in possession of a Cheyenne spotted wolf, and the Cheyenne would bury their dead in the ground or caves, and the other was to a Minneconjou buffalo bull, who would bury their dead on scaffolding. It is my contention that the ceremony, the burial of the revolver, was discovering in relic condition in the Little Bighorn Valley without the grips. Royal Irish Constabulary Revolver, serial number 12314, has surfaced with the original box, and I am honored to be allowed to share it with all of us. I do not own this RIC revolver, but have known the owner since the 1990s and can testify that he is one of the most honest and forthright collectors I've known. The pistol has been inspected by Ekachu Kanku Mini Roads, and the name Buffalo Bull appears in Togia in several places on the gun. The company who sold the pistol, marked Little and Keedling, San Francisco, on the top strap, also is present as it should be. The exciting thing is the presence of G.A. Custer's name on the bottom of the back strap. And it's definitely period done and been there forever. And the font of the lettering is a period engraving and is the same as Tom Custer's box font that you will see on his pistol that was also an RIC. The lettering, like I said, is period engraving and the same style as shown in Glenn Swanson's book. Glenn had viewed the revolver in the inscription prior to his death. Glenn Swanson was well known as a forensic expert documenting weapons and casings found on the Little Bighorn battlefield. His death was a great loss for all who searched for the answers from the battle. The owner of the RIC, serial number 12314, told me, Glenn said, one Webley RIC casing was found near where Custer's body was believed to be, and that the owner should hold on to the gun in case more in the future are found, because the known casing disappeared. And that was after the fire, when they went through and did the archaeological pickup of all the casings. Once again, we have tried to make the best circumstantial case possible with the information studied. Also, a former president of the NRA viewed the gun and researched it and found it to be quite a piece. With the possible information studied, and doubt what I'm telling you and question what I'm telling you, but what you've seen and been told, but I think history may have a winner here. Special thanks to my friend from all of us that we have an opportunity to view this historical piece. God bless you all. Bye.